everyone, and welcome to John Talks Indian Cinema. I am your Indian Cinemaniac, John, back with another 10ish-minute review. Before I get to that, the first thing I must do is thank each and every one of you. So I put out the Jot trailer a couple 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and it had over 4,000 views. In fact, it's almost 4,500 views. But ever since that has gone out, as well as some of the other trailer reactions I've done, the subscriptions have been going up. So within a 1 month period, I've gone from 197 to, as of this recording, 318 subs. And I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of that. Obviously, the more subscribers you have, the more views, the more likes you get, the more likely YouTube will push out your video. So because of your loyalty and your sharing these videos, we're getting new people subscribing. And I couldn't be any more thrilled about that. Also, for those who are new to the channel, I do put some stuff in the community part of the channel where we do some surveys, we do some announcements. Well, the last one, I put the list of the next group of reviews I'm going to be doing. It's not in order, so don't go by that, but that gives you a list. Now, that doesn't include if a film comes out in the movie theater that I want to go see, I'm going to go see that. It also doesn't include trailer reactions, will be separate. And so far, not many of you have seen that community thing, so please take a look at it and give me your 2 cents on that, okay? I appreciate it. You know, like I say, if you recommend it, I'll watch it. Now, I want to be clear because I'm getting hammered on this a little bit, not in a bad way. But obviously, I can't be watching Indian films 24/7 as much as I love these films. So the tagline really should be, if you recommend it, I'll watch it eventually. Okay? So I'm doing as many as I can within a week, but you also have to edit them. So it takes some time. So anyway, that's it. Now, the film that I will be talking about today, and this is kind of a special one for two reasons. One, we just did, and based on the number of views, most of you haven't seen it. We did a Die Hard retrospective from. I brought on people from the old channel, and I would say this to you. It's not an Indian film, but if you like Die Hard, I think you'll like the first three-quarters of it, because the last part are Christmas recommendations because it was made right before Christmas. But if you look at the first three parts of it, it's a retrospective of Die Hard. It's our favorite lines from the movie, and then it's Die Hard ripoffs. I think you'll like that. So take a look at it. So as a result of that one of our, I call him a super fan because, first of all, he's always about 90% of the time, he's the first one to make a comment. And he's always hitting the like button. But it's Kully Singh 3378, who's been a big help to the channel. He's given me some ideas. Big help. So he recommended an Indian, because I asked, is there an Indian Die Hard? And he brought up Baazi from 1995. Now, of course, I'm like, okay, I'm excited to watch it. But then I find out it stars Aamir Khan. And you guys know I got a man crush on Aamir Khan. I think he is the best actor that I have seen in Indian films. Now, that's not to undermine anybody else. Sunny Deol is the real deal, okay? But Aamir Khan, for me, Three Idiots, like Stars on Earth. Ugh. So Kully recommended this. Now, So I think, okay, it's going to be a Die Hard ripoff. But to my shock and delight, it's actually an homage to all the Hollywood 80s action films. And there's a lot of references to all kinds of films in this movie. And I'm going to do this one a little bit differently, because what I've done is I pulled out clips from the film, but also the films, when they copied something from when they did an homage to Die Hard, I've got them on top of each other, so you see them side by side. So it was really fun to do that. And in this movie, there's two films that this really takes a lot from, and one of them obviously is Die Hard, but the Die Hard part is probably the last 35, 40 minutes of the film, if that much. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with the film, but it's Tango and Cash, which starred Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone. I mean, they pulled scenes directly from that film too, which I was very surprised. They also taught there's something from The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. Actually, The Cable Guy stole it from Baazi, Death by Satellite. And there's also a scene from The Hard Way, which starred James Woods and Michael J. Fox. There's a bit of that in this also. So let me get to fundamentals first. It's directed by Ashutosh Gowariker, 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 who directed two films I'm very fond of, Swades and Lagaan. It stars Aamir Khan, who I have seen in a million things. I can't even begin to tell you. Malta Kulkarni, Raza Murad, Mukesh Rishi, and Paresh Rawel, who I think's in every Indian movie ever made. I recognize him in everything. So it's a Die Hard homage, but again, only at the end. And the other thing about this film was because I mean, first of all, Amir Khan looks like, he looks 15 years old. But because of this film, because of the action, the director hired him to do Sarafrosh. Because at the time he wasn't really thought of as an action star. And he definitely does some Bruce Lee moves in this too. Um, it was really interesting because it opens up with assassinations, right? Then it goes to the credits. But what was interesting about the credits, they don't list the cast. They list everybody but the cast, which tells you, if this was made today and Amir Khan's in it, he's going to be the first name mentioned, right? Unless you're Ramouli, the guy who directed RRR. So the story is a simple one. A a cop, a good cop, stops an assassination and ends up killing a bunch of bad guys. Now the family of the bad guys want revenge on him, and they frame him, and he goes to jail, and then he breaks out of jail, and then he goes after the guys that framed him, and then they end up in a big tall building, and now it's one man against all the bad guys. There's your Die Hard. Um, it's weird because Cully, the story was okay, and it wasn't a great film, Cully, and I don't think you think it was a great film either. Um, and I got to the point where it was kind of silly the first hour. I mean, there was some good action in it, and he was good in it. And he's just, you can see what he was going to become, even in something like this, and he was so young. But it was a little silly. Like there's one point where he gets interviewed by his love interest, who's a reporter, who doesn't know what he looks like, so he ends up sending his servant out. And that's a whole kind of silly scene, right? But you flash back where his father, who was a cop, gets killed, and his mother gets killed, and the only thing he knows about the guy who killed him is something about his foot, which comes back later on in the story. And there's a lot of flashbacks too. So it was all right. Then you get the big bad guy Ragu, which is also delicious tomato sauce. Not really. I don't like Ragu. And there's a lot of songs. There was a lot of songs, which again, I'm not going to do this the way I usually do it because I want to get to the clips. But it's not a kid film because the way they do the assassinations is pretty brutal. And the songs, I mean, the songs are good, but again, they come out of nowhere for a movie of this type. So they were okay, but I guess I'm trying to think what else was really cool about it. Well, I'll get into it. Yeah, he ends up recognizing the bad guy who's now in government because something to do with his toes. And I didn't quite exactly catch what it was. Was there something? I think he had a scar on his foot or something. That's how. And the other thing, and they did this. I saw this in another movie. In the beginning of the film, he gets shot in the shoulder, and as they just patch it up with a band-aid, then he's all good to go. In the end, in the climax, he gets shot again in the same shoulder. That's the second time I've seen that. Um, and unlike Die Hard, when he comes out the building, everyone's clapping for him. They're all standing outside clapping for him. And then the closing credits is Amir Khan walking very slow. But I want to get to the scenes because this is what I thought was really interesting. So the first scene is the clip. Okay, this is when, if you remember in Die Hard, he kills Carl, who's got the gray sweatshirt, puts him in the elevator. Ho ho ho! Now I have a gun, right? So that scene, that iconic scene, the bell of the elevator. Well, here, look, here it is, right here. So instead of one body, there's three bodies, right? But look at it, beat for beat, it's almost the same shot. So that's the first one. And these are the big ones. There were more than this, but these were the big ones that I really thought, And the director was very open about what he was doing. He loves those films. He loved those actors in those films. So this was his tribute to them. The second one is the famous. He's up on the top of the roof. The police are shooting at him, so he's got to jump off the roof. He ties the hose to his waist, and what does he do? Well, same thing Amir Khan does with a little twist. Watch this. So, so Khan crashes through the window, does a flip with the gun, and blows everybody away. So a little added thing right there, right? So that was pretty cool. And also, if you remember, oh no, it wasn't was it? No, I don't think it was. Carl was the one that got hung. He's not the one. I can't remember the name of the guy in the sweatshirt, but Carl was Alexander Goodenough, who they have that fight down in the warehouse, and then McClane puts the chain around him. Well, look, I mean, you can see it. Oh, by the way, the chain is also there for Amir Khan. Take a look. So so you got almost identical scenes, right? Also, sometimes when they shot you remember the rocket attack when this is in Die Hard, the police had that police car that was going to ram through, and they're all up on the floor getting the rocket launchers ready, right? Well, in this film, they had a rocket launcher too, and a much smaller budget. Take a look at this clip. Now, no offense, but it looks like somebody took like a bottle rocket and shot it from the window. It looked kind of lame. You got to admit it. Now, come on. Okay, so now that's Die Hard, and there was more from Die Hard, but now the Tango and Cash, and was the one of the early scenes with Amir Khan's character, whose name is Amar, is a tanker scene where he's going to stop a tanker. Now, in the Indian version, he's got his reporter girlfriend in the car. In Tango and Cash, it's just Stallone. But look at the shot, beat for beat. Now, Stallone, they got the drugs. In the Indian film, it's bullets flying out of there. But I mean, that's pretty amazing, right? And then the final one I'm going to show you is from Tango and Cash. Well, the big funny thing that came out of that was when Kurt Russell. First of all, I didn't know Amir Khan is such a beautiful woman, but at one point he had to dress like a woman, which also happens in Tango and Cash. So take a look at this clip. So so that I loved. I loved this, and I loved going back and pulling the clips from Die Hard, and then matching them up with the ones from this film. But yeah, I had a lot of like I said, Cully, it wasn't a great film. It was okay. He is still, he's such a good actor, and he elevates anything that he's in. I do believe that, and the bad guy was pretty smarmy too. But for me, the fun of this film was finding all the tributes to the 80s action films that, that's when I was growing up. I was in high school. Those were the films we always used to go to, and I loved all of those films. So that was a lot of fun for me to recognize them and pull them out. And I will say that the conclusion of the film and the building and how we had to fight everybody, it was good. I liked it. But if I were to rate this movie, I'd rate it a 3. Where for me, Die Hard is one of the greatest action films ever made, probably in the top 5. But for a tribute to that era of action films, I enjoyed it. I really did. And I would never have known about it without Cully Singh telling me about it. So I appreciate that too, Cully. So thank you so much. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. And what are some of your favorite action stars? In fact, most of you don't watch these till the end. So last time I did a little thing and some of you did it, and I appreciate that. I'm going to do it again. Tell me who your favorite Hollywood action star is from the 80s or 90s. Now, I don't want to hear from you. I wasn't born then. The movies are still out, okay? So you can still watch them. But that way I'll know if you're really paying attention or not, okay? So listen, our next goal is 350. The channel's growing. The community is growing. We got more maniacs now than we ever had. Really appreciate it. So as always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and the way we can really build this channel is if you think there are others out there that would appreciate this, share it with them too, okay? Again, I want you to know how much I appreciate this. This is going great. It's slow and steady, but that's okay. So that's it. We'll talk to you soon on John Talks Indian Cinema with another trailer reaction or a 10ish-minute review. Thanks for watching.
Zooby dooby zooby dooby nache kyun pagal stupid man. Zooby dooby pam para zooby dooby param pam. Zooby dooby nache